what was that sort of balance when it came to like cooking food with weed in it, or just like, was it just, okay, I'm gonna think of the crazy thing I can make while I smoke? Like what was kind of like the setup for or the synopsis for the show? Well, that's
kind of the the progress we're trying to make on this, right? It's like, I think many people who are hesitant to take edibles either just never tried them and they have these crazy stories, or they tried them one time from a person that who didn't care about them, who was just like, let me overdose you because this will be fun for me, and I've been that guy. So people, yeah, I have too, several times. And so with this one, these chefs, these are trained. It's not like, just like people come in the kitchen making whatever. These are trained professional chefs who happen to work with cannabis a lot for their lives, from whether it's been for their personal use, for physical or mental pain, and they know how to exactly dose. Sometimes they don't even use THC. Sometimes they use CBD to just muscle relax you, and it's just adding like another tool to their arsenal where they can just be like, oh, for the appetizer, maybe I just want to relax you with CBD because you had a hard day at work. Let me get them shoulders relaxed, and then when we hit you with that entree, get a little bit of sativa to perk you up, and then get you with that dessert, a little indica, send you to sleep, lock you down, and
I want to experience this so bad.
Exactly.
I want to come on the show so bad. Podcast. Please.
He sold the shit out of that.
I was about to say, I'm like, fuck. At first, I was just like, you know what? I don't know if my intake could even handle such a thing. But the way he broke it down, I'm like, okay.
Oh, well, they know what they're doing. I trust them. I trust these people.
I stay away from that shit. I cannot handle weed. I cannot smoke weed. I cannot do edibles. I cannot do any of that.
I think it goes back to what he was saying. Like, I don't think necessarily people don't care about you. I think people just don't know how to break down grams and intake, so they just put whatever the fuck they have in a pot and make brownies, and then now you don't know what you're taking.
You know what? It's what black people do with all cooking. They just kind of eyeball it. Just like, all right,
this is good.
That looks good. All right, that looks all right. That's fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Like, you can't do that with cannabis. Man. So I mean, this show I know has been like a labor of love for you. Like, was there a certain specific experience that had like stood out the most within the making of this show?
A couple that made me realize that like the show was bigger than just like, me hanging out, smoking weed and eating food with weed in it, which is my dream. But it was when I realized just like a lot of these chefs, just like everybody, really affected by this fucking pandemic, and a lot of them had lost their jobs. A lot of them hadn't been able to work in kitchens, and and there's real money on the line for them. And not only that, but it's like to win at Chopped, whether it's Chopped 420, Chopped whatever, to have the title of Chopped champion means something in the cooking world, And so to see a lot of these people back in their element, back working, there was a couple people. I'm gonna mention just two people in specific. There's this dude, Chef Victor, and he's like a Venezuelan guy who lives in San Francisco. His dad brought him here. His dad gets deported as he's a teenager. He spends his life working in kitchens as a teen. Fights drug addiction, gets himself back together, and then loses his kitchen job because of the pandemic, starts delivering arepas on a bike in San Francisco. Wow. And I don't know if none of y'all ever biked in San Francisco. That's a workout every day. And then he gets Eater at San Francisco votes him one of the best restaurants in all San Francisco. I mean, this dude, he's just a hard working, hustling man. And I'm like, how could I not root for this guy, Yeah. And another Chef Maverick, just a black female-owned business, self-taught, never went to one of these fancy schools like a lot of these other competitors, and just was like ready to compete and ready to take over, and she was into cannabis because she had gotten Crohn's disease and was using both food and in her diet and cannabis to control her disease and wanted to get into edibles because she was sick of being like, oh, I don't know what's in this. I don't know how much sugar is in this. I don't know what else is in this. I want to be able to make healthy things. And it was like, man, it's like, this is fun. This is silly, but like, this is also like helping people and also normalizing their work, which I'm all about, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And you know, I think now more than ever, I mean, what was it? A month ago, New York legalized. Here and Jersey just voted on it. And you know, now that this show is coming out, it's sort of like a snowball effect about, you know, the benefits of cannabis. And like, you know, we grew up, you know, we're all 80s babies for the most part in here, and we all grew up with reefer madness and like, you know, how crazy and dangerous and it's a gateway drug and like all these terrible things. And you know, even like my mom listens to this show, and like even the mere mention of me like, you know, talking anything about cannabis, she's like, oh my God, no, don't. But you know, the older she's getting, the older, you know, the more information that's out there, you know, people are really starting to realize that, you know, it's not just a bunch of like, you know, it's not 1990s stoners standing outside of a convenience store like wasting their life away.
You mentioned that, Kaz. That's a lot of like my relationship with my mom, you know?
Yeah.
Growing up in high school, stuff, like my mom was very much like, don't smoke weed, get off weed. And then she got older and went through her own battles at her knees. And my mom's a breast cancer survivor and was going through treatment. Like, and was going in a lot of pain, and she eventually was like, I went to her and was like, look, I know you're dealing with all this other stuff, but you're still in pain. Like, just try. You don't even have to smoke this weed. I'll give you this CBD topical. Just put it on your knees. Just try it. And then eventually, my mom went to Amsterdam with me. Now she wants to come hang out on set.
Nice.
Well, that escalated quickly.
I'm about to say, your mom is my type of person. Like, I'm gonna try some of this. Like, next thing you know, it's like I'm in Amsterdam. Like,
with a Rasta hat.
What's up, y'all? This is Kaz.
Lowkey.
Rosy.
And thank you for checking out the Say Less podcast.
Don't forget to check out every new episode on Monday on YouTube.
And do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Mother